This is a Nintendo Game & Watch. Long before the Game Boy was on the scene, this is what Nintendo handheld gaming looked like. Each Game & Watch unit had one built-in game, and as the name suggests, it's a game and a watch. It shows the time and it has an alarm function. This one's called Helmet. It was released in 1981, and it's pretty sad. I'm quite hopeful that we can bring it back to life though. Let's give it a shot. The first thing I want to do is actually clean the battery compartment, because that's gross. For most electronics cleaning, you want to use isopropyl alcohol, IPA, or isopropanol, or rubbing alcohol. They're all the same thing. You want to try and get as pure as you can. This one's 99.8%. Thankfully, this seems to be mostly just dirt and not actual corrosion. Quite often with batteries, they get left in there, then they start to leak, and then they corrode out all the terminals, and then it's a big problem. But luckily, that's not the case here. This is just regular disgusting. This terminal shouldn't be flat like this. This should be sitting up a bit high. Ooh, that's loose. That could be a problem. It's meant to sit up and be springy. That's not happening, is it? I'll still chuck some batteries in there and see if anything happens, but I don't think it will. Oh, I saw something. I swear I saw something. Oh dear. Well, I'm not seeing it now. Okay. Back in these days, Nintendo used these weird flathead screws with a circle in the middle. They look like they're security screws, but they're really not. You can just get them with a normal flat screwdriver. I'm guessing it was just so that the screws could easily be installed by a machine rather than trying to do it all by hand. What have we got inside here? Something's still sticking out. Oh, there's a little clip here. It's another slide. We won't have any broken clips on this one. So here we have the piezoelectric speaker. Here we have the dust and disgusting grime. Suspended in the middle of the circuit board here. This is the whole brain of this thing. This stuff over here is just to keep the time, really. You can see here our battery terminal is broken off. 3 screws out of the motherboard. It's taking the LCD with it this time, which is not really a problem, but also I'm going to have to separate it. This sheet here, that's the scenery. Oh, it's all very stuck together. Oh no, this could be a write-off. That's disappointing, but we'll push ahead. See down in the corner here, the glass has a crack in it. That can be the end of the LCD. I just really hope that there are no traces embedded in the glass there. We won't know until we get this thing working. I'm just gonna, hopefully it works. There's our broken glass piece. Just very gently disconnecting the carbon rubber strip from the circuit board. We might be lucky. If you have a look at this, these contacts here, they transmit electricity directly through the carbon rubber in a straight line. The carbon rubber is actually a whole bunch of vertical lines of carbon in the rubber. Our broken bit of glass sits over here where there's no contact, so it may be fine. It might just work. And I don't know where these tiny pieces of plastic came from, so that's interesting. This piece of glass on its own is the LCD, but it does nothing unless you have polarizing layers. All LCDs have these. This is the back polarizing layer, which is reflective, and this is the front polarizing layer, which is transparent. And in this case, other than that little crack, which I hope does nothing, the only thing that's really wrong with this screen is this back polarizer has started to degrade and look terrible, but I can still show you what the polarizers do. Looking through all the polarizers and the LCD, it just looks like it's all clear, right? Well, if I take the LCD away, it just goes black. Look at that. How cool is that effect, really? I love playing with polarizers, it's heaps fun. I've just realized that I'm underqualified to explain this, but I think the polarization of the light gets switched by 90 degrees each time it passes through one of these. So if I take one of them away, it gets switched an odd number of times and ends up not passing through one of the filters. If I turn this, I can flip it. It's a lot of fun playing with these things, even with no power attached. I could do this for hours. Not really, but minutes at least. The way the LCD actually displays, I'll have to show you once I've got it working. I have here 2 brand new polarizers that I got off eBay. This back one here, I'm really not happy with the quality of it. It's got air bubbles between the 2 layers, and I have removed the protective layer. It's not that. It's actually between the polarizer and the reflector on the back. So if you're doing this, don't just go for the cheapest one on eBay like I did. Get one from a reputable seller. The front one looks fine though, other than they both look like they're cut out with scissors. And they do the whole blacking out thing. So the actual polarizing works. Over here you see these 2 battery terminals are soldered to the board. This one has suffered. This is the battery corrosion that I was saying this one didn't have. It eats the solder, it eats the copper traces. There's probably nothing left here to solder to at all. Ooh, do I have to take that back? I hope I have to take that back because it'll make my repair way easier if there's metal here to solder to. To clean up corrosion like this, I use automotive wet and dry sandpaper, probably 1000 grit or something like that. People always tell me to use these fiberglass pens. I have one and I absolutely hate it. It puts tiny fiberglass splinters all through my work. The end up getting stuck between my fingers and I can't get them out, and it annoys me for a whole month. Not really, probably a couple of days. And yes, I've tried doing it over the bin. I just hate it, okay? Don't tell me to use a fiberglass pen. I don't want to use a fiberglass pen. I like this. I like this wet and dry method. If you spray some isopropyl on it and do it wet, it comes up great. And look at that, there's actually metal there. I can solder to that just fine. You can see there's a little gap between the trace and the contact there. There must have been a little bit of copper exposed at the edge and the battery damage is just eaten in there. I'll be able to bridge that with solder just fine. And that's good enough. It's at least as ugly as the others. Just a bit of a bath. I use spray and wipe for everything. I wouldn't recommend using spray and wipe for everything. I don't know. I just do. Still don't want to get it on the actual electronics though. That's isopropyl only. That's the back. Ooh, that's sticky. Buttons. Ooh, there's tiny little inserts here. I'll just show you what those are for. They're for the alarm and ACL button. Well, it's for setting the clock and the alarm anyway. You push a pen or something through here and it presses down on these little pads here. You don't want sharp stuff pressing those buttons. Look at that delicious brown in there. Ooh, that looks like earwax. That's gross. Oh, did you see that bubble popped in there? There was a bubble across the front. That's pretty cool. I really like this PCB design, the way they've mounted the chip in the middle, which is the brains of everything, through a hole, and the same with this capacitor here and the crystal oscillator here. It's so they can keep the PCBs super thin. Crystal oscillators are pretty fascinating. Inside this metal can here is actually a tiny piece of quartz crystal. When you pass an electrical current through it, it vibrates ever so slightly. During manufacturing, the size of the crystal can be tuned to produce all sorts of different frequencies, and that's how this thing runs. It's using this as a clock so that it's always working at the same speed. Pretty much any computer system is going to have something like this in some form or another to keep the whole thing running. It just won't work without it. I have noticed a bit of a problem though, and that is that when I put the board back in here, my new solder blob there lifts the PCB up and it doesn't seat properly. So I'll have to take that off again and see if I can do something different. My idea to jump this little crack here without putting solder here is to add some solder here, attach a wire to there, and run that wire across the back of the board and connect it to the same place as the battery terminal. Hopefully that's good enough. Solder's not lifting up the case anymore. Now I have to figure out which way around this goes. If I get the light off it, I can tell that it goes this way up. The score's up the top here, and the reflector goes at the bottom, and this goes this way up. So that goes in there like that. Then our scenery goes in, and the LCD and the reflector. Now, this little black piece of stuff here, I reckon it was jammed down in here to hold the whole assembly together. It really doesn't seem to do much. These pieces, I've got no idea. It would be nice to have something holding this together because it wants to pop up. Next, we put in the conductive rubber strips. Now, carefully, the motherboard goes in. It looks good, except I've forgotten all of the buttons. I'll put those in, although first, let's see if it does anything. As soon as I put this battery in, it should light up the whole screen. It's definitely lit up. I don't know if that's the whole screen. I'm not sure what the whole screen looks like on this game. Oh, okay. It's just because I don't have all the screws in. So we've got the whole screen then. Oh, it's gone. So now that we've got this at least working to the point of showing everything on the screen, I want to show you something cool. If I take the entire thing apart again and flip over the front polarizer, the screen will start out black. But when I put the batteries in, the active segments turn white. They turn clear, actually. And that's because all the LCD panel does is flip the polarity of the segments. It never lights anything up or turns anything black. It just switches the light polarity. And when that matches or mismatches with the filters, it either passes the light or doesn't pass the light. Any kind of LCD that's lit up has lights built in that are separate to the actual LCD panel itself. I've decided these little tiny rectangles of plastic probably go at one end of the LCD, and the little black piece probably goes at the other end, and together they stop the screen from moving backwards and forwards too much. Hopefully it will just be fixed now. Yeah, look at that. All the segments work. I don't have to press anything because all the screws are in now. Let's give it a game, huh? Game A. All right. Am I catching the tools? No, I'm not catching the tools. Okay, I'm dodging the tools. Not very well. Oh, that door just closed. Why is that door closed now and it was open before? Oh, it's open. Oh, what did that do? I don't know if it gave me a score. Oh, no. All right, I gotta see what that door does. Oh, it does. It gives me 5 score. Look how neatly they're arranged. All the spanners fall in one line. All of the pliers fall in another line. Screwdrivers in another. We've got the bucket section. And if you want to get hammered in the head, that's over here. And at least they're consistent with their terrible occupational health and safety standards. Come on, open. Yeah. Oh, let's try game B. Normally game B on Game & Watches is a harder version. 5. Gives you 1 point per tool that you don't get hit by, and 5 points if you get through the door. Oh, goodness me. Come on, open the door, open the door, open the door, open the door, open the door. Yeah. Ah, open the door, open the door. Ah, oh, now it opens. Oh, I thought I could jump under there. Well, 27. That's a score. It's not a good score, but it's a score. It's like when they put the word quality on products. Now, I know it feels like I'm finished, but before you go, check this out. This is the before and after. This is the before, as I found it in a junk box in Japan. And this is the after. I think it looks a bit better now, don't you? If you're into Game & Watches and you want to try and get your own, good luck. They cost so much money. So the more people who know how to fix these things, the better. They're really not that complicated. You just got to be careful with that LCD glass. For another day, I've got a Game & Watch which has actually lost segments due to a cracked bit of glass. I really want to try and fix that, even though it seems impossible, but not today. That's Nintendo's Helmet Game & Watch. I've been collecting video games for ages. I'm always buying new stuff. If you want to see a photo of every single thing I get, you can join me on Floatplane. It's only $1 a month. I'll see you there.